So the Clintons agreed to testify before Congress about their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, kind of. It's going to be a deposition, okay? Unless the Clintons get their way. Hillary Clinton posted this today. For 6 months, we told oversight Republicans what we know under oath. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalposts. Let's stop the games. If you want this fight, Representative Comer, let's have it in public. I agree. I thought that the Democrats would go after that and say, yeah, let's do it. Instead, the move from the Democrats is, hey, if you're bringing in Clinton, we want Trump. One of those Democrats is California member of Congress, Ro Khanna. Ro, it's good to have you. Got a couple of things I'd like to bounce off you tonight. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. I understand why Donald Trump should have to testify about this or should have to give information about it. I get that. But it does seem like a petty tit-for-tat, doesn't it?
Well, I've always said that the Clintons should testify. I'm glad they're testifying. I'm glad they want to do it in public. I'd be all for that. I mean, if they don't want to do it in public, they're agreed to sit down for a deposition with no time limit. And I hope the questions will actually be on Epstein. It's relevant that Donald Trump has information. He should testify, but so should all of the people who emailed Epstein about going to his island, like Bill Gates, like other tech leaders, like finance leaders, like real estate leaders. Like, let's not just make this about two former presidents. Let's get the information about all the people who went there.
Agreed. Much more important, I think. And I don't think it should be a deposition because, you know, deposition, you're going to have these lawyers sitting in there. It's not going to be members of Congress. And who knows what they'll ask them about, because once you're asked under oath, you can go anywhere. So it could really become a circus. And I think the rest of us should be able to see it. I think the transparency is what's needed most. And what are you going to do about the fact that the DOJ obviously, intentionally, did not follow the law that you were behind?
Well, look, first they released about half, and I want to just acknowledge that that half that they released has exposed a lot of people. I mean, it may bring down the British government because Mendelsohn allegedly gave information about the English, the UK bailout to Epstein, and he traded on it. It's brought down the chair of Paul Weiss. By the way, it's brought down more people so far on the left than on the right. So for all those people who thought, oh, Khanna's doing this to get at Trump, I mean, there's a corrupt elite that has been exposed. But what is sad to me is that they have protected some of the pedophiles. There are emails released where you've got men talking about a Brazilian 9-year-old or a girl who had a naughty night, and it's blacked out who that person was sending the email. Why? So Massey and I have requested a meeting with Blanche. He said he's going to give it to us, and Nancy Mace wants to join it to actually see the unredacted files and to understand why they are not releasing the remaining 50% and when they plan to release it.
Well, you know what their rationale is. The DOJ doesn't want to release information that could be damaging if it wasn't the function of charges. But you drafted a law which should supersede DOJ guidelines, and he knows that, and they just willfully dismissed it. So what does that tell you?
Well, they think they're above the law, but they didn't willfully dismiss it in the 50% of cases, right? I mean, obviously they released stuff about Bill Gates. They are protecting certain people, and that's the question. Who are they protecting and why? Why is it fine for some of these folks to be out there in the public, but not others? And their hope is, Chris, that you stop talking about it, that other people stop talking about it, that the country, as Donald Trump says, just moves on. That's not going to happen in this case because you're talking about young girls who were raped, who were from often working class families. Americans care about our young girls. They care about children. They care about survivors. And the Epstein class, as I put it, has become a symbol for rich and powerful people who play by a different set of rules. And people are too dialed into this. They are going to demand justice. And so Massey and I, Mace, we're not giving up. We're going to keep pursuing it till they ultimately release the files. We forced the release of 50%. We'll get the rest.
Let me ask you one more thing about this, because you know him. I can't get Massey on the show, I want to be fair to him. Yeah, but it's okay. I'm not complaining. Here's what I'm confused.
We'll come on together.
Thank you, Ro. I appreciate it. But I'm happy to have him on. I mean, you know me. Everybody's welcome. But I'm not saying he has the list of 20 names. But he has said that the survivors have told him that the DOJ is aware of a list of people who survivors believe knew or should have known about crimes against underage and other women. Because it's not just underage women that matter, right? Why isn't he making those names available for the survivors? Because the DOJ won't, so that the survivors don't have to carry the burden of any risk.
It's a fair question, but I don't think the survivors want him to do that because it would politicize it. What's the first thing that would happen if Massey says those names? Donald Trump will say it's all a hoax. He's just going after people for political reasons. What we need is for the files to be released. What we need is for people like Gates or in the files to come before Congress and answer basic questions. What did you know? Did you go to the island? What did you see? What did you do? And actually, there should be a subcommittee of oversight that has hearings on this issue so that it's not seen as political. I mean, the country
100%.
won't believe it if a politician goes and does that.
Got to have the transparency if we want to rebuild trust. I make you this promise, Ro, okay? I don't think I've promised you anything to date. I will never let this go because I can't live with myself if I do that to the survivors. They deserve it.
That.
I don't believe they've gotten it. You know how I feel about your party during the Biden administration. If you want a platform to discuss this, you will always have it. Okay, I don't care when it is. That's one of the benefits of being at NewsNation. We go after stories that are no longer popular or outside the scope. So if you want the opportunity, you'll have it. If Massey wants to come on, he's got it. But I just wanted to know about that. I appreciate you coming on as always, and I like this fight. Thank you for fighting it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being fair and covering this.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.